My name is Frederick Salmon Mwijage from Edukea Tanzania. I'm an history teacher of advanced level. We are proceeding with our topic, which is the rise of capitalism in Europe. So welcome in this today's session. We are proceeding with our topic. In the last session, you have remembered that we ended on the achievements of Chartist movement. So now let us go direct to the new mode or model trade unionism or unions of 1850 to 1817. What is the new model trade unions? These were the workers' organizations formed in 1850s in Britain after the collapse of Chartism. It means that the new model trade unions, these were organizations which were formed by the workers in 1850s after the collapse of Chartism. So various professions or basic professions in Britain come up and organize to establish those organizations for demanding their economic rights. Let us, after looking the definition of the new model trade unions, it means that unions were largely based on the industrial unionism rather than on cottage unionism, as Chartism and Ladism did. And after seeing that, let us see the characteristics of new model trade unions. The first characteristic was they largely used the peaceful method. It means that the new model trade unions used or waged on peaceful method on demanding their rights. It means that those workers were professional and with the high skills, so they used the professional techniques on demanding their economic demands from their employers. Another characteristic was payment of membership fee. It means that in order to join or to be registered and be certified by and be registered in this organization, was the member was supposed to pay the membership fee. So every member of new mod trade unions were supposed to pay the membership fee, which was contributed to the raising of funds, which could assist in the learning of the organization's activities, like publications of various writings like constitution and laws, but in transportation of unions members to attend some meetings. So you can see how that new model trade unions was different from the former workers' movement. Another characteristic was they focused much on economic well-being of workers. It means that the new model trade unions were mostly focused on economic well-being of the workers. It means that they focused on demanding the increase of wages, improving the living conditions of the workers by their employers. So those workers or organizations which were formed by that time were mostly relied on the demanding of economic well-being of the workers. Another was election of leaders. It means that those organizations or unions which were formed during 1815s after the collapse of Chartism was involving the election of leaders. For example, there is two examples which I know whereby the amalgamated of engineers were elected their leader or permanent secretary leader, who will perform all activities concerning with their union. But another was amalgamated of carpenters. Those were leaders who were secretary in their organizations or in their unions, who were performing the secretarial activities to ensure that the organizations were running in a simple way and in achievement or in a successful way. So you can see that new model trade unions were different from former working class movements like Capitalism, due to the presence of weak leaders and strategism and weaker leadership. Another feature or characteristic was they were professional-based unions. It means that those new model trade unions were involved the professions who belong to the same field. For example, doctors were joined together to make the trade unions, but also the engineers were joined together. So it could be not good to join doctors and engineers in the same unions. So in that time they took the one profession to be the one union. So they were based on profession to form unions. So the profession was the key factor to form unions, different from those former working class movements which were emerged before the emergence of these trade unions. But the last characteristic was they had permanent membership. It means that new model trade unions had the permanent membership in the unions, which was different from other prior working movement to the prior class working movement which were emerged like Capitalism and Capitalism, because they had no permanent membership. But during these new model trade unions had the permanent membership that led to the cooperation in demanding of their rights or economical rights. After looking at the characteristics of new model trade unions, let us see the achievements of new model trade unions. The first achievement is they were legalized by the government. It means that those new model trade unions were registered by the government and made to be legal. So they were registered to be legal because they were the non-violence method of demanding their rights. So that's why the government supported them and made them to be legal unions. Another achievement was they raised the workers' consciousness and awareness. It means that the new model trade unions raised the workers' consciousness and awareness on the using of professional techniques and best ways on demanding their economic rights from their employers. So the demanding of increasing in wages and improving their working conditions to their employers were done in a peaceful way or in professional techniques to convince those employers. And in such a way they succeeded compared to those prior working class movements which were failed because they used the violence method. But another achievement they achieved in making collective bargaining or bargain with the employers, like increase of wages. It means that the new model trade unions were successful to make collective bargaining with their employers. They come up on the chair and negotiate and conducted the peaceful dialogues and negotiation with their employers on how they will increase the wages of those workers or unions members, and on how they will improve the working conditions of the new model trade unions members. So in such a way they were succeeded compared to those prior working class movements. Another was they laid the foundation of the creation of the British Labour Party, formed in 1893. It means that the new model trade unions were the major factor, or it was the lesson that laid the foundation of creation of the British Labour Party, which is still existing even today in their Britain. The Labour Party, which is a political party in Britain, which was formed in 1893. So that was the result of new model trade unions, which was formed in those period of time. So after looking this one, there is another last achievement, which was the largely fund through payments of membership fee. So the new model trade unions largely funds or financial surplus because they had to pay membership fees for every member of the unions. If we are doctors, had to pay membership fee. If they were engineers, had to pay membership fee annually, and it was organized and it was supervised by the constitution, which were formed by the leaders of those unions. So every member had to pay the membership fee. So they found themselves that they have enough, or they laid the funds that were supported them in running unions activities like transportation fees to conduct their meetings, publications and the printing of various petitions that were sent to their employers for demanding various economic rights. After looking the achievements, let us see the weakness of new model trade unions. Everything which at the achievement will face some challenges to be achieved. So the first achievement was the movement depended much on peaceful way or means. The movement depended much on peaceful way or means in demanding their economic rights. So those new model trade unions used the peaceful means or peaceful method in order to escape from bloodshed and other violence like a strike and demonstrations, which was done by the previous working class movements like radism and chatism that were proved failure. So those new model trade unions learned on how they will use the professional techniques and new means led to those new model trade unions to fail to some extent, because using peaceful way in some extent was slow downing the achievement of some demands from the employers. So this was the weakness of new model trade unions. Another weakness was poor economic base. It means that the membership fee which was priced by the leaders of the unions, not every member of those unions were able to pay the membership fee. So in some extent, the funds become problems, or the funds which, or membership fee which were paid by those unions members were not satisfying themselves in conducting their union's activities. So they faced the financial problem. Another, there was not countrywide in scope. It means that the new model trade unions was conducted in the areas where those professions were taking place. For example, if it was in industries, those industrial workers were joined together to form the unions. If it was in the hospital, doctors were joined together to form the unions. So it did not conduct or involve the whole country. So you can see some areas did not use or formed the new model trade unions. So it led to the proceeding of exploitation of working class by their employers. Another, they focused mainly on the economic matters. It means that the new model trade unions, which were emerged in the 1815s, were mainly focused on the demanding of economic rights or matters, rather than other rights like social and political matters, as the prior working class movements did. So you can see they relied on a single matter, which is economic, in increasing of the wages and improving living conditions. So other rights were not provided by their employers. Another weakness, they accommodated with only skilled and semi-skilled workers and denied unskilled workers. So you can see that the new model trade unions were employed or were invited those skilled and semi-skilled workers. In which sense? In the sense that those skilled and semi-skilled workers had the profession, techniques, and ideas which will be used in the demanding of their rights. And if they could welcome those unskilled workers, could lead to the failure of the unions, because they could suggest maybe to use a violent way of demanding their rights. So in one way or another, those unskilled laborers or workers were still under the exploitation by their employers. So it was still a problem, because the unions were not made all workers to be under the good conditions of living and increase in wages. After looking at the weakness, let us see the exercise, which are the two questions. The first one is assess the weakness of Chartism, and the second one show the characteristics of new model trade unions. The weakness of Chartism I didn't explain to you, because I decided you to find the weakness which faced the Chartism. So this is the end of our topic, which is the rise of capitalism. So thank you for being with me in this all topic until the end. So welcome in another topic and the other session. Thank you for choosing Edukea Company.
tracks per day.